All right, all of y'all out there in Lifetime Fitness land, I'd like to welcome you to class today. We are turning the tables on each other because I'm here for class today and you aren't. And it appears that that is going to be the case from here on out for the time being with the coronavirus. So that is going to be something that we're going to get used to. I have some things that I want to communicate to you, and then we're going to get started with class today. Even though things are going to be different than you sitting in class with me each week, I want to make you aware of some specific things that we have put in place to communicate and to be together in a conference online setting at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. The Canvas conference link, when you go onto our page on Canvas, there is a conference link, and it allows us to do some really cool things. It allows us to conference together with a video conference room, and we're going to do that each Tuesday at 1 o'clock. And for all of us that can do that, and we're going to continue to meet and to talk about the lecture and ask questions and interact with each other, because if we don't do that and all you do is listen to me and listen to the lecture every week, then that is also your prerogative. But some of our online students do every week. But I want to give you the chance, if you're an in-class student, to engage at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. And you will have the chance to do that. And you will also have the chance to do as an online student does, and simply watch and engage by watching only, and not engage in the conference room. And so if you are not with us in the conference room on Tuesdays, you will not have the opportunity to engage in quite the same way and go back and forth. I will still ask you questions on Canvas and engage in that kind of a way, but we will not engage in real time like the Canvas online conference room will allow us to. And so you do have that option, but some of you will have perhaps a job that you are going to try to get, or different other responsibilities if you're going home. And I know that because of that, we need to be flexible, and so that flexibility is going to lead me to allow you to take one of those two options. And so if we decide that the conference room is a great option, we'll continue it. If not, then we'll just continue with just the online online lecture like what you're watching now. The goal of Lifetime Fitness, when we started last week, and I was so frustrated when I realized that I'd made a mistake, because I lost my one chance to see my in-class students. I'm never going to get that back now. The goal for Lifetime Fitness is to be able to make small changes in our lives, and to be able to look at exercise, and to look at weight management, and to look at nutrition, and those things are so important to me. There's things that have impacted my life in immense ways, and I look for that interaction from you, and I need that interaction from you to be able to make this class successful. So even as COVID-19 is rampant in the United States, please don't let that impact us as we are interacting in class, because that interaction back and forth with you is going to be the difference between this class being successful or this class being an also ran. And so if you give me something back, I will give you that input back, and we will have a conversation back and forth, and we will get some things accomplished that are really cool. And I think that during this time we can move forward with some really great goals that can be accomplished if you set your mind to accomplish some small changes that you want to accomplish. Last week, when you watched the online lecture, even though it was an online lecture that was from a semester ago, we talked about what wellness was. We talked about the dimensions of wellness. We described what physical fitness was, we described what health-related fitness was, and skill-related fitness was, and then we ended by talking about what the benefits of physical fitness was. And that's where I think it was really important that we really strike a tone with you, because in chapter 1, if we don't talk about the benefits of physical fitness, and that doesn't hit home with you, then we don't have anything to go from for the basis of the rest of the 7 weeks that we have left. The benefits of physical fitness moving forward are the difference between living a life without some of the negative health effects and the side effects that these lists talk about in 15 years versus not living a life with without any of these negative side effects. And those 15 years can happen so suddenly, and it's just on you in an instant or in just a snap of a fingers. And so it is so important you take just one of these benefits, like chronic back pain, and how much chronic pain impacts America today. And you just take that one instance, and if you realize that one small choice that you make today could impact a lifetime of pain because you are in physical condition and you don't let yourself get out of physical condition, and it could lessen that chronic pain in your life so that you don't have to take potential medications that could really impact your life in a negative way, so that you can be more there with your family, so that you could be better at your job. The list goes on and on and on and on, how much pain can impact you. And that's just one of the benefits. This list is huge of how it could impact your life. And when you really start studying and you start realizing the impact of what physical fitness means, it's something to buy into, and it's something that people can take a lot of ownership in. So looking at the statistics, in a normal class, if there's 10 college students sitting in front of me, 6 out of those 10 don't achieve what the recommended amount of activity is. And specifically 3 to 5 days of exercise a week, and they don't even come close to achieving that recommendation. 25%, so that means at least 4 out of that 10 are not active at all. And half of all college students are not vigorously active on a regular basis. So that's pretty intense as far as statistics. And usually when I check it, if that, to see in all of my years at Calvary, I've had people raise their hand, it always seems like it's pretty accurate. And it's quite discouraging to realize that it always is pretty accurate. You guys did a medical clearance lab. There were a few of you that I asked to write me back and to talk about different medical conditions that you had or you talked about, because going forward, that is going to be a big part of what we want to do or stay away from in your exercise program. So please write me back if I asked you to write me about it. The chapter 2 is where we are going to go into now, and we're going to assess what your overall fitness level is like in chapter 2. And why do we assess where your overall fitness level is like? Well, we're going to assess your cardiovascular fitness, we're going to assess your flexibility, we're going to assess your muscular strength and muscular endurance and your body composition. And as you have a chance, those are your health-related fitness components. And as we have a chance to see how you compare to other college students across the United States, you're going to be able to see, hey, I'm doing pretty good with flexibility, but I'm not doing very good with strength. I want to do better at that. Or you might say, I'm doing really good at these 4, but this one needs improvement. Everybody is going to look at their assessments and they're going to respond in a different way. Sometimes they're gonna say, hey, I really got gypped off, and I don't agree with this test, and I think I'm doing fine. However you decide to respond, it's going to help you decide that what you need to do for your exercise program. Almost across the board, it will help you to prepare what you want to do in your exercise program in some way, shape, or form. Past chapter 2, you are going to get towards chapter 5 and start writing a diet and a weight management program, and you are going to start implementing those programs. Okay, let's go towards chapter 2. In order to go towards chapter 2, when you read chapter 2, it talks through all of the tests, and I've made all of the tests handy for you to get to in a document in the file section of Canvas. And so we're going to go there now, and it is going to be the one located under fitness testing. Okay, now if you can see this fitness testing handout, I'm going to talk you through these fitness tests, and then I'm also going to put an old video up of one of the older classes where we had in-class students that were demonstrating each of these fitness tests, so that if you are not quite sure what or how to do these fitness tests, you could go back and access an older video so that you can make sure that you are doing them right. So there's going to be a video from today, and there's also going to be a video from an older class that happened a year ago, so that you can see a student that was actually performing these tests on video. So the first test is a muscular endurance and a strength test, and you are specifically testing the strength of your upper body, specifically your chest, your triceps, your upper arms, and your biceps. And so with your push-ups, you are going to do push-ups for as long as you can until you are exhausted to do it. Men are going to do a standard push-up with their back straight and from their feet, with their feet on the floor and with their hands on the floor. Women are going to do a female push-up with their knees on the floor and their hands on the floor, and they will be pushing up from their knees. And again, you're simply going to do push-ups until you're exhausted with your body as flat as you can make it. So to follow the instructions, how many can you do? Men should use the standard military style push-up with only the hands and the toes touching the floor. The women have the additional option of using the bent knee position. To do this, kneel on the floor, hands on either side of the chest, and keep your back straight. Do as many push-ups as possible until exhaustion. Count the total number of push-ups that you can perform. So if you are exhausted and you have to stop, then stop, tally up how many you have been able to do. And if you are 20 years old and if you are a male, and if you did 49 push-ups before you were exhausted, you are in the excellent category. So when it says, what is your score, you would put 49. And what was your rank? You would put excellent as your rank. Then you would go on to the next test. That would be squats. How many squats can you do? So you would be standing in front of a chair and sitting to where your rear end is almost touching the chair. How many squats can you do? Stand in front of a chair or a bench with your feet a shoulder width apart, facing away from it. Squat down and lightly touch the chair before standing back up. A good sized chair is one that will make your knees at right angles when you are sitting. Keep doing this until you're fatigued or exhausted. Write down how many squats you can do. After you work out for a while, take the test again to see how much your lower body strength has improved. So this time, we're testing strength again, but this time it's in your lower body. Your quads, your hamstrings are being tested. So if you are a female and you are in 22 age category and you did 43 before you were exhausted, then you are in the good category. So you would write that down. What was your score? What was your rank? The last strength test that we're going to do is a sit-up test, where you're going to be testing your abdominal strength. And in order to do that, you are going to go through this ranking procedure to find out what you can do as far as your sit-up. So you're going to be laying on your back and trying to sit up and trying to figure out first if you can do level 1. And level 1 means that as you sit up, that, see if I can have you demonstrate just a little bit, that your wrists can go all the way to your thighs. So again, your wrists can go all the way to your thighs when you sit up. If your wrists can go to your thighs, you've made it to level 1. What about your elbows? If you're sitting up and your elbows can go to your thighs when you sit up, you've reached level 2. Then your hands are together across your abdominals. That's your stomach. Your hands are together across your abdominals. And if you can sit up and get your chest to your thighs, then you've made it to level 3. Level 4 is your hands across your chest. And if you can sit up and get your chest to your thighs, that way you've reached level 4. Level 5 is your hands behind your head. You don't want to jerk your head forward because that puts a lot of pressure on the back of your neck, and that's a harmful exercise. But if you can put your hands behind your head without jerking it forward and then put your chest to your thighs on a sit-up, you've reached level 5. Level 6 means you're going to put a 5-pound weight behind your head. You're going to clasp it behind your head, and you're going to put your chest to your thighs and do this sit-up just like so. And then level 7 is the elite category, 10-pound weight behind your head and put your chest to your thighs. So your goal, again, your knees should be at a right angle doing a sit-up. Nobody is trying to hold your feet down. You're holding your own feet down. So there are 8 levels ranging in difficulty from poor to elite. You only need to perform 1 complete sit-up for each level at the prescribed manner without your feet coming off the floor. If your feet come off the floor, that means that you have failed that level. If you can't sit up all the way and reach your thighs, that means you have not made that level and you failed that level. Okay, the 2 body composition tests that we will use. The first is your body mass index test. This is an easy one where you just click at the link right here, and it's going to calculate your BMI, body mass index, and you're going to put your height, weight, and it's going to calculate your BMI, and you're going to look to see where you're at in there. So you just have to follow that calculator. The next one is going to be your waist to hip ratio, and your waist to hip ratio means that you're going to take a measuring tape, and I made some measuring tapes for today, and I just made them really easily. I got some material, a yardstick, and measured each inch out, and I'm just going to measure how many inches are around my waist, and I'm going to measure how many inches are around my hips, and then it's a simple calculation of the measurement of the waist divided by the measurement of the hip. And what you're doing there is a little different because some people are pears and some people are apples. The apples have more of an abdominal, they hold their weight in the abdominal area. A pear holds their weight in the hip area. If you're an apple, the chances for having heart disease and more issues with health are going to be higher than if you're a pear. And basically what you're testing in the waist to hip ratio is if you're an apple or a pear. That's the easy way to say it. If you're an apple, you're going to potentially have more issues. If you're a pear, you're potentially not going to have as many issues. So it's going to tell you if your waist is smaller than your hip or if your waist is bigger than your hip. And it's going to calculate your chance for health risks because of that. And so that's not necessarily because of what your body fat is. It's more of a genetic type of factor in how you carry your weight, because some people carry their weight in specific areas because of what their genetics have given to them. The sit and reach flexibility test. This is always the challenging one. This test involves sitting on the floor with your legs stretched out straight ahead. Your shoes must be removed. The soles of your feet are placed flat against a box. Both knees should be locked and pressed flat to the floor. The tester may assist by holding them down. Let's see if I can duplicate this for you. So because you're obviously going to have both feet on the ground and you're going to be sitting on the ground, and you're obviously going to be reaching to see how much flexibility you have with a ruler and trying to see how much flexibility you have, if you could picture that. But you want both feet out instead of just one foot. So you need a measuring stick, and you need a partner to figure out and hold that measuring stick so that they can tell you exactly how much reach that you have, how many inches you have reached to. So here's the specifics. With the palms facing down and the hands on top of each other or side by side, the subject reaches forward along the measuring line as far as possible. Ensure that the hands remain at the same level and not reaching farther forward than another. After some practice the subject reaches out and holds the position for at least 2 seconds while the distance is recorded. Make sure there are no jerky movements. The score is recorded to the nearest centimeter or ½ inch as the distance reached by hand. The table gives you the general guide for expected scores for adults using 0 at the tips of the fingers. So you want 0 at the tips of your fingers. So when you're leaning back against the wall, you're going to put 0 at the tip of your finger, just like so. And then you're going to reach forward to see how many inches you can reach. Does that make sense? Okay, last but not least, the cardiovascular run walk test. You're going to have a choice. If you're a runner, you can come down here and take the cardio 1.5 mile run test. And you can click on this link and it will tell you exactly what to do. So let's go there. After you warm up, you run as fast as possible for 1.5 miles. The tester records your time to complete. So you're going to need to have a course charted out for 1.5 miles. You could drive with a car, figure it out, and then you're going to need to have a timer to clock exactly how long it takes. Tester records the time. Evaluates. Okay, so you're going to take your time and you're going to, like, let's say that it was a guy, he was 20 years old and he ran 1.5 minutes in 12 1.5 miles in 12 minutes and 2 seconds. And let's calculate. That's all we need to do. If you'll see, his population average is 46.26. His score is 33. The average rating is his rating is average with fitness, cardiovascular fitness right now. Does that make sense? His rating for cardiovascular fitness is average. If he ran it in 10 minutes and 2 seconds, his score would be good. If he ran it in 8 minutes and 2 seconds, his score would be excellent. Does that make sense? That's how that goes. So if you are running the walk test, it's going to be a little bit different because you're going to have to get more information. You're going to need a stopwatch and make sure you have a 1 mile track. Can't do it on a treadmill. You need good shoes because you need to go as fast as you possibly can. You need something that will measure your heart rate. This is different than the run. So you need a heart rate monitor, something really legit that you can measure your heart rate with. You can also measure it with testing your own heart rate if you have to. Okay, how the test is performed. To take the Rockport walk test, you will need to find a level course. High school tracks are usually the most ideal for most of these tracks. 4 laps around the lanes, 4 laps equals 1 mile. You can, warm up first. Do some light stretching and warm up. Start your stopwatch and immediately start walking. Make every effort to push yourself, but avoid doing that speed walking or almost running. At the end of the 1 mile, stop your stopwatch, record your time in decimals. For example, 11 minutes plus 30 seconds is going to be written like 11.5. So you're going to write it like 11.5. Take your heart rate immediately. If taking your own pulse, count the heart rate for 15 seconds and multiply it by 4 so that you can figure out what your heart rate is for 1 minute. And this is how you calculate your VO2 max. Upon completion of the test, you will have to do some math to determine your VO2 max. In addition to your heart rate, you will need to measure your weight in pounds, and the formula is what you see there in the gray box. So you will do that math, and you will find out what your VO2 max is. So when you find out what your VO2 max is, then that's how you're graded. If your VO2 max is 37, then your grade is excellent. If your VO2 max is 23.6, your grade is very poor. Does that make sense? If you are doing the 1.5 mile walk test and you need help calculating your VO2 max, if you give me the information and let me help you do that, I would be glad to help you with the math. I'm sorry. So please don't let that scare you off if you're a little unsure about doing this calculation. Okay, after you do the tests, then you're done with the fitness testing for chapter 2. And then I need for you to go to the exercise testing module, and there's a link so that you can make a copy of whatever or type the results in by hand, however, and you can submit it with a copy, you can take a picture with your cell phone, whatever is easiest, and turn it in by hand, turn it in by to Canvas, and you should be good to go. This week you should be reading chapter 2, and you should write down that you have been here for the lecture today, and then that should get you caught up for this week, and we should be good to go. If you have questions about the exercise testing, you can again look at the videos that I post from an earlier group that took this class. If not, I will talk to you next week. actually next week is spring break, so I will talk to you the week after break, and I hope your break is good. You take care, and I will talk to you soon.